think we have some really exciting things to present to you today. I'm Ramjet. This is Rebekah Roth. Hit it, Rebekah.
All right. I wanted to cover some things that I find just so fascinating. Of course, now I did dive into 9/11 so much that I easily can recognize a pattern. And I have seen the pattern play out again from not just 9/11. This pattern goes way back to Kennedy. When your government's involved in something and you get a little too close to the sun, well, it causes people to come forward and attack you. I know that personally because what's happening to Mitch, the guy that Candace interviewed, happened to me and other people who people thought were me. And it's been a real ugly decade of that. But I kept on marching. I mean, once I was called antiseptic, if you get my drift, by a group of people in the Middle East, I just kept diving into this because I thought there has to be a reason they would label me that way. I've never felt that way toward a group of people. So what could it be? Well, let's talk about what's happening right now today in the Twitter sphere, the exosphere, whatever it's called nowadays. Candace Owens is being attacked by some big players, and it's been very interesting for me to watch. Again, I've gone through it. I was attacked for my career. It was just insane what happened. And it's what's happening to not just her, but also to Mitch, the guy that came forward as a special forces guy in 1991 that was involved in a drug bust. And unfortunately, at the end of the tunnel that he discovered with the task force were some, well, let's just say military, border patrol, maybe Washington, D.C. types that were, well, how we could say, in bed with a cartel. And it caused a real problem for his life. So he had signed a non-disclosure agreement that apparently exhausted itself in May of this year. But come in September, he decided he was going to go down to Fort Huachuca in Arizona, where he had been based, and find out what the heck happened. He didn't get any support that he was promised and stuff. So he ended up going down there on September 8th and the 9th. And then on his way home on the 10th from Arizona, he stopped in Salt Lake City, and I guess he had a stopover, change of airplanes or what have you. And he got messages from his wife on his cell phone that Charlie Kirk had been shot. Well, then when the memorial comes and all of that jazz happened, he recognized people that he'd seen at that base and at the hotel he stayed in. And he's being attacked for it. But what's weird is who's attacking him. Okay, so we'll talk some more about that. But that kind of encouraged us to do this video. Plus, we're getting used to some new equipment. So we thought, well, this is a good time to just sit around and chit-chat a little bit about what's going on. Because not too long ago, RJ had said to me something about, why does everybody seem to get so triggered from Fort Huachuca? Once that happened, that's around the time that Baron Coleman thought that Charlie might have been electrocuted, because there's high definition photos of his hands. They look like they have first-degree burns. They're pretty red after they're pulling him out. And then there's the behavior of the security people. What should have happened? I happen to have a lot of first aid training, so I can say this with knowledge. What should have happened is one of those 5 or 6 guys should have everybody was holding their cell phone, should have immediately called 911. They should have applied pressure to the wound, kept him alive, done basic first aid, kept him right there. But that's not what they did. Because they even have EMTs, and they show up. I've got video on the Life is Driving video that I have on the channel. They're right there. They were right there. They denied EMTs to assist them, which should raise a big red flag. Anyway, we'll go into that. We were starting to think, well, why is everybody so triggered about this whole, was it the electrocution? Was it what else could it be? And so RJ had asked about, well, what could it be about that base? It seemed like, and since then, everybody's got deeper and deeper and deeper into insanity and attacking Candace and attacking now Mitch, which just happened overnight, Friday night. The former Green Berets decided that we're going to go and dig through that man's dirty laundry until it stinks so bad that you're not going to listen to me anymore. And that's kind of what's happening. So earlier I said to RJ, I'm going to give you an assignment. You go read some of the comments and you tell me, what is Valhalla VFTs? What are his comments saying? And so RJ, what did you find about the comments there?
Well, it's interesting. The comments were basically what you'd expect. A lot of people said that Baron Coleman, for example, hasn't dissed you. He hasn't said anything against you. He actually supported what you were saying. He just doesn't agree with you. I think a lot of people don't agree with him. Other comments were, doesn't really matter who this Mitch guy is, what he's done in his life. It's what matters is, was he telling the truth at what he saw down in Sierra Vista? And if he did, then we need to explore that. And if he didn't, we need to forget it. But we don't need to talk about what color of underwear he's wearing or anything else that doesn't matter. What matters is the truth. And if that's where we're going to, that's where we're going to get.
Well, it's interesting. Some of the comments that I've seen on social media is, the guy went through a nasty divorce. I'm willing to bet Nate might have gone through one or two as well. The guy is in his, I think, mid-50s. One of the things that Nate did uncover was he was, in fact, a Green Beret himself, Mitch was, so he wasn't lying about that. His story is true, and I think you even were aware of this from time that you'd lived in Arizona. You knew about this case where he found the drug tunnel.
Well, I did live in Arizona back in the 70s, and I recognized Fort Huachuca. I've always known that it was a base. It was an intelligence base. People don't really know what's going on in Fort Huachuca. I think the reason they don't know what's going on is because nobody in the government necessarily talks about it. They keep everything hush-hush.
It's a secret. It's a secret base. So, of course, you're not supposed to talk about it. It's a secret. I'd tell you, but then I'd have to kill you, right? Well, I started to see parallels between what happened to me, certain people, what they did, and how threatened they seemed to be by an airline insider. And I started to see parallels. And this is really running parallel to everything from the Kennedy assassination, the magic bullet. If these guys had actually said that Charlie was shot with a small caliber 22 or some sort of thing, wouldn't have been a problem. But all these special forces guys that are now running YouTube channels, they all went out and shot their 30-06 into a calf, a leg of a elk or a deer or a neck of something or other. And listen, people that know guns and that hunt, they know what a 30-06 would do. And that's not what we saw. So everybody's debunked the government story. I'm going to call it a government story because it's very much like 9/11. And now they're attacking someone that potentially has a major truth bomb here, a major truth. And it'd be easy for Rebekah Kirk to prove, and Brian Harpole and anybody else to prove whether they were there at the fort or not by just offering up their location from their cell phone, their geofencing. And if they're not careful, somebody's going to do that and find that. And then it's going to get really ugly. Then they're going to be proven to be liars. So in an attempt for Rebekah to prove that she wasn't there, she sent a photograph to Andrew Colvette, who sent it off to a guy, Paramount Tactical, who read it showed it on his live feed. And then he even said, don't make this public or something. Don't show this in public or on your screen or stream or whatever.
He basically Joe Biden'd it.
He Joe Biden'd it, yeah. Pause, in parentheses, pause, whatever. He read whatever was on his teleprompter. So basically, Gary at Paramount Tactical did the same kind of thing. But that doesn't only prove that she has a photograph from her kids with somebody's finger over their face. Could it be someone else's kids even, someone else's finger even, from September 9th? But nobody said she was at the fort on the 9th. She was seen, according to Mitch, on the 8th, the night of the 8th. And it's like under a 3-hour drive, so it's not a big deal. And if you live in Arizona, you know this fort exists. Sorry, but you just do. So there's a lot of interesting stories that come out of it. If you want to find interesting stories, even Candace told a story about some people that owned a gym. And I think that they were in either Tucson. I think they were in Tucson, which is closer. But they do intelligence training. So unless you've read some books about intelligence training, espionage training, and that sort of thing, you probably don't know what they do. But they will do exactly what she described happened to these young couple that had a gym. It's part of their training. So I thought it was really weird anyway that Valhalla and these former special forces guys started coming out against her and getting really nasty. Well, if you want to read a book about Green Beret in particular, there's one I recommend to you. It's called Hunting the Jackal by Billy Waugh. And Billy Waugh was really the grandfather of the Green Beret, I think is what they coined his position as. And he has a very interesting life story. He just passed away in his early 90s, a couple years ago. And if you want to know what Green Berets do, well, let me just tell you. And this might be one of the reasons why they're all shook up, because they are shook up. Are they afraid that we might find out that the special forces, all of them, Navy SEALs, the Rangers, the Delta Force, the Green Beret, they train terrorists? They are highly trained assassins. They're snipers. They kill people. Whoever they're told to kill, they hunt people. Probably a lot of them knew Osama bin Laden was dead for a year, but they still pretended to hunt him, but because it gave them an excuse to kill other people. You think maybe they're afraid we might find out they're kind of psycho, crazy people? Maybe. I don't know. Just guessing. I just find it really interesting that they're so freaked out about this, because that's the kind of base where they would do stuff. They would do jumps there or train to do Green Beret kind of stuff. It's an intelligence base, so they might train to use secret weapons. Well, that led us over to thinking, well, what maybe connects this base, this secret intelligence base, to Charlie Kirk's assassination? And when RJ asked me, what do you think it could be about the base that triggered so many people? I said, well, let's look. Let's do what all the young kids are doing, huh? Let's ask AI. And we did. We asked AI. I was like, what could it possibly be? Could they have some kind of secret weapons, maybe, that we don't know about? Could they have used something like that on Charlie? What could have caused the burns? How was the electrocution happen? Was it his, what do you call that, Rode wireless microphone? Was that what blew up? What caused the gun sound? So we started to look, and we started to discover that there maybe, just maybe, there is a weapon there. And I need to see if I can pull this up so we can read this, and see if I can read this for you. And sure enough, there is a weapon out. It's been out for about 2 years, and it's from the Northrop Grumman Company, and it's called the Phantom. And it's possible, I'm not saying this is the only thing they used, but it's possible that this new weapon might have been used on Charlie, and we're not supposed to know about it. Maybe that's what it is. Let me read to you, because I had a conversation with AI. I know AI is not always 100%, so you do have to be careful with that. But I was curious about the directed energy weapons because remember on 9/11 when that crazy looking lady came out with her fishing hat on and said directed energy weapons and it dustified everything. And she looked so stupid that nobody believed her. Well, some people believed her, but she discredited herself by looking like a lunatic because we didn't know about these. But I always thought, well, maybe I had enough people come forward to me that were in the military that said, hey, you don't even know what kind of weapons we have until 20, 30, even 50 years from when they're using it. Now, one of the guys told me that in the mid 80s, they had a laser weapon that could burn a hole through a tank. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look and see. Maybe they've got something like that. Maybe they use something we don't know exists. And then we're trying to figure out how does a 30-06 not do what we knew it would do. It's not a magic bullet, but they want us to think it's a magic bullet. And then we found out recently that what we were told about the bullet coming in and hitting C2 and then C6 and then down to T1 and then to his heart, none of that was true. That was made up by Andrew Colvert or somebody at TPUSA. So we don't know about the autopsy report, but that was crazy. But we don't need to make that fit anymore because it's been discredited. So we don't know anything about the bullet, or even there was a bullet. Maybe there wasn't even a bullet. But we do see his hands in those high definition photos, and we do see they do look burnt. What would burn both hands? Well, being electrocuted would do that. So we know that. Anyway, back to this weapon. I found this really interesting because quite frankly, it answers a lot of questions that we still have. Was it a gun sound? Was it subsonic, supersonic? Was it a 30-06? Was it something else? Was it in the speakers? I mean, there's all of this. Some people said it came from the right. Some people said it came from the left. Some people said it came from behind. It's craziness, right? Well, rather than getting caught up in one thing, and I saw a lot of people 9/11 do this, one thing. Not 9/11, they used everything. And they probably used more than one thing here. Maybe both microphones were rigged to kill him. Just in case one failed. You don't know. But when they want you dead, they're pretty successful usually. So back to this phantom weapon. Let me just read this because if I got it all done right, it's going to show up on your screen. The Phantom, it's called Northrop Grumman's The Phantom, is a miniaturized 10 kilowatt high energy laser source developed by Northrop Grumman for the United States military. First delivered in late 2023, I believe it was in August. It's designed for rapid deployment in tactical environments where portability is critical. So it's really made to be out on the field. The size of this thing is 12 cubic feet. That's the measurement of the outside. It's roughly 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, and it's basically a square. It weighs a little less than 200 pounds and can be easily moved by 2 men. Also, just so you know, it could have been set in front of Charlie, and it could have been below him, and it could make you understand why the t-shirt fluffed up, why a lot of things happened, why he has burns on his chest and his abdomen, his armpit. I guess Baron Coleman says he's seen these high definition photos of these burns, so we have to keep that in mind. So I was totally into this. I was like, well, this is fascinating because I'm just asking the computer to answer these questions because this is an interesting weapon. Maybe they used it, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I think people should look at this. Again, just like with 9/11, don't get caught up on the gun or the electrocution or only one method, because I don't think there was just one method used. Now, one of the things I did ask in other deep dives into this is, here I asked, what would happen to a human if they were hit by this laser weapon? It is designed to take out drones, not to kill people or not to be used on humans. I think there's a Geneva Convention type war rules that would have not allow that to happen. So again, if it was used on Charlie, it would be done by our government and it would be kind of against law and plus murder, et cetera, et cetera. But I wanted to know, well, what would happen if this laser was accidentally used on a human? Well, the interesting thing that came up, now we've all seen where between his lapel microphone and his neck, where we saw the injury, we see like a puff of smoke or something there. Well, here it says immediate physical effects, skin vaporization and carbonization. The 10 kilowatt laser would immediately vaporize the top layers of skin upon impact, or contact rather. Longer exposure, fractions of a second, would cause deep third-degree burns, charring the tissue and potentially boring a hole through the flesh. Well, this was just microseconds, right? What if that hit his lapel mic? What if it hit right next to it? I don't know. I'm just asking the computer. But we do see that this vaporization, what if that's what we saw coming out of the neck of his shirt? I don't know. Just asking. I'm just asking the computer here. So it goes on to talk about this. And then I was wondering also, what happens when it hits the target? I'm not sure I have this one in here. But one of the things that it said is that it will make a sound, often the sound of a gunshot or the sound of lightning striking nearby. And then I asked questions like, what would happen if you were holding a microphone and you got hit by this? And basically it described potential electrical shock, just like what Barron thinks if the microphone was electrocuting him.
Well, one of the questions that I've always had about this is if, in fact, they were using a directed energy weapon, what would it do to the audio-visual stuff?
You know, that was one of the questions I asked as well. In I went into this for several hours and I didn't save it up for the computer, but I asked, I asked that, and what I asked is, would it cause feedback on a microphone if there was a microphone nearby? And it said, yes, indeed, it would. It could cause feedback. And it could cause a problem with other electrical devices. And now I think if you've been paying attention to this, you probably have seen by now, we have people in his security team, one that goes with his t-shirt, with his sleeve of his shirt, not a t-shirt, it's a shirt. And then we see the other guy, Brian Harpole, with something under his armpit, and you can clearly see it. And both of those things happen right around the time the boom happens. I'm going to say boom, because I don't believe it's a gunshot now. I've seen too much stuff. So anyway, it just so happens that the Phantom laser weapon is tested and training is done on it at Fort Huachuca. Is that what they freaked out about? I don't know. I'm just asking. But could it be that we're not supposed to know they have that weapon and that they use that weapon? I don't know. It's possible because it would make a sound of a gun. It's a loud pop. If you've ever been by where lightning strikes, it sounds like a gun or a cannon. And we've had all kinds of people say it sounded like a smaller caliber. It sounded like an M80 firecracker. It sounded like it came from the left, the right, the center, the back, the up, down, all around behind him, shot through his ears. I mean, there's every kind of crazy story out there.
Well, you know, one of the things that Baron Coleman mentioned last night in his YouTube was that we should have seen the hole in his neck before we heard the sound.
Right.
This would explain why you wouldn't. You would see the hole in the neck at the same time you heard the sound.
Yeah. And that's another question that I asked AI. So I'm going to suggest you guys can write this down so you remember what it is. It's called the Northrop Grumman Phantom Mini Laser Weapon. And that'll it'll show you pictures and all kinds of information about it. It shows up in several Department of Defense type magazines and stuff. It's real. Again, it's supposed to be used against drones, but what if they used it on a human? What if they wanted to make sure Charlie was dead? I'm not saying that our government was involved, but I can't be convinced at this point that they weren't because of this attack, not just on Candace, but on this Mitch who happened to walk in on a woman that looks an awful lot like Rebekah Kirk on September 8th at the Candlewood Inn and Suites. And also, when he went the next day to look up his old unit on the base, he was directed to this building where happened to be having a secret meeting. And somebody from high up in our government was there. Now, I don't know who else was in the meeting, but he did describe how they blocked his view from whoever this person was in this like skiff type building or skiff type room. So maybe it all connects. We don't know, but it connects. What makes it look like it connects is that people like Nate and Gary and other people, Alex Jones, that are attacking Mitch for who knows what he did in high school. It reminds me of Brett Kavanaugh. He drank beer in high school. Well, who didn't? I mean, that's just insane what they do. But that's a similar attack. You can see the pattern. It's what they do. They did it to me. They did it to other people they thought was me. This is what they're doing to Candace and Mitch. I don't care what Mitch did. I don't care if he's married to a German Shepherd. I don't care. I want to know, was Erica there or not? She can just give us her geolocation and prove to us that she wasn't there. Or was she there? I don't know. But they don't seem to want to be being honest. And the people that are working with a small country in the Middle East that seems to be controlling our government right now seem to be dead set against Candace and Mitch. And there should be a reason for that. And it only tells me that there are two governments involved in this assassination. Egypt is not one of them. Iran is not one of them either. That's just what I'm seeing. But I found it very fascinating that Alex Jones flipped out so bad and seemed to be like, well, we had Christmas, so they had a few days to, I don't know, get riled up. They sure didn't relax. Alex Jones went on the craziest rant ever about Santa Claus having, you know what, with his reindeer, and then the Easter Bunny joined in. It was just complete insanity. He comes across as complete person you would never want to hear anything from, nor would you want to buy vitamins from him. I mean, he just came across completely insane. Nate sat with his friend who is a felon. I think he spent 20 years in prison. And he has the guts or the wherewithal or whatever you call it, the cojones, I guess, to be sitting with a felon doing a podcast and making claims against a guy he doesn't know about something that happened to him 20 or 30 years ago in a divorce. Really? Is it that screwed up? I guess it is, because that's what we saw happen. Anyway, it's kind of fascinating to see. I just see all the parallels because this is exactly what the 9/11 Truth Movement did. Now, in retrospect, I know some of those people I found out over the last decade or so were actually making money from the government too. So we see that it's very easy to see who's making money from the government and who you don't want to take any information from. These people are not credible. I'm sorry to say that, but they're just not credible. Anybody, if you haven't done this, you should go over to Valhalla VFT's channel and go to that Friday show and just read the comments. Just read the comments. It's just amazing that people are like, quite frankly, just like what I just said. I don't care what this guy did in high school, in college, when he was 30. Like, I think he's 56 now. Mitch, who cares? What we want to know is where in the heck was Rebekah Kirk? And where was Brian Harpole? And there's one way to find out. Your phone, geolocation. I don't know why somebody hasn't asked for the geolocation of everybody that was there around that time that Mitch said he was there in the lobby. Be really easy to find out. Really easy to find that out. So that would end the question. But instead of doing that, they're attacking something that happened to this guy 20 or 30 years ago. He went through a divorce. Who hasn't? Who hasn't? It's seriously, who hasn't? Well, should we talk about what Nate's been through? Well, somebody's already done that, and it's not a pretty picture. So I guess if you're going to go through somebody's dirty laundry basket, maybe you should make sure all of your laundry's clean and folded before you do. It's fascinating to me to see because I just see so many parallels what's happening. But again, going back to what triggered these people was the base. That base, that secret base And it just makes me wonder, well, this particular weapon answers a lot of questions, because I asked AI a lot of things about, well, what would happen to the body? What would it make a sound when it hit and all that stuff? Yeah, it answered every question. And so you're on one side, you've got AI telling you about the base and about the weapon.
Well, it answers all the questions that Baron Coleman doesn't have answers for.
True.
And he has a lot of questions that don't have answers.
Yeah, so, that's very true. And if you just go, and I'm asking you to go and do this, if just go pull up your AI, whether it's Claude or GPT or whatever it is. I think mine's called Gemini, but I don't know. I'm not on a first name basis with it. But I thought, why not just ask the computer? Because they all want to do this AI thing. So why not use it? Why not use it to find out who does the Green Beret ever train down there? Yes, in fact, they do. That's what it said. I don't go there, but I guess. Is it the fact that Green Beret and Special Forces don't want you to know that they're assassins? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what. I can't understand it. But for some reason, they don't care about one thing, and that would be the truth about where Rebekah Kirk was on the night of September 8th. They don't care about that. They want to just destroy Mitch. They don't care about his children. They don't care about his wife. They don't care. They just want to destroy him. And I have been targeted by these same kind of people, not the same people, but this type of people, this same kind of attack. And Mitch will be a better, stronger person for it. I know what he's going through. Same with Candace. But you have to ask yourself, why? Why do these people want to destroy somebody else? One of the things that Nate uncovered, I just saw a snippet of his video Friday night, is that this guy actually was a Green Beret himself. Mitch was. So is he on the payroll from a foreign country? Is our government paying him? I don't know. But it doesn't make any sense. I've listened to him for quite a while. I probably won't be doing that again. And I've shared his videos. Probably won't be doing that either. Because to me, that's really an unstable behavior. Yes, I know he was drunk, but just the fact that he was sitting with a felon, a guy, I think this JD character was served 20 years or something, I think I heard him say, in prison. And that he would dig up somebody's divorce papers. I'm sure there was custody involved. They get really nasty. Doesn't change Rebekah Kirk being at the Candlewood Suites now, does it, Nate? So you do just have to ask yourself, could it be and again, maybe it's not him, his personal thing. Maybe he doesn't care if you know. Maybe he doesn't care if you know he was paid to shoot people. Maybe they had browner skin. Maybe they had a turban on their head. Maybe he just wanted to play target practice. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. But one thing for sure, you're learning quickly over this. Candace will be returning here in a couple days. You're learning very quickly here who you can trust on the internet. That's one thing. You've got to take that away and write their names down. Because, Alex Jones had a complete, total meltdown. This guy needs help. But what's crazy is he started out doing the same exact thing that Josh Hammer is doing. And that's saying, poor Candace, she's insane. She's crazy. She needs to be committed. Josh Hammer is the editor-in-chief of the Newsweek magazine rag nobody reads. He's not a doctor. I think she might have a lawsuit right there. Why would he say that? Is that what they think they can do to us if we're anti-Semitic, or if we're just crazy, or if we're just looking at the truth? Is that because they are chosen to be above us? I don't know. Just guessing. Just wondering why would Josh Hammer and then Alex Jones doing the same thing? Alex Jones started out on Thursday. I'm really concerned about Candace. She might not be okay mentally. And then he comes out the next day talking about Santa Claus screwing his reindeer and the Easter Bunny gets involved. Seriously insane. He's worried about Candace, though. Candace might be losing it mentally. She might need to go in a home. I'm like, what the heck? You people are insane, completely insane. Over what? Just get the geofencing from Rebekah Kirk, her phone. How about that? How about Brian Harple's phone? Was he at that meeting? Probably, because he's acting guilty. And it's just exactly, I'm going to just end with this. It's just exactly the way Donald Trump is handling the Epstein files. The Epstein files. Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? That creep? Well, now we find out that creep received 4,700 checks from that creep, Donald Trump. That Donald Trump has out there. They had magazine articles about him being best friends for 15 plus years. That creep? And then Donald Trump said, that's a Democrat hoax. And just yesterday he came out and he said, release the files, all the names of just the Democrats. Oh, really? I thought it was a hoax. Well, now we're finding out some very bad stories because somebody didn't know how to do a redaction. And those are not good stories about Democrats, Don. They're about you. It's ugly. But it's actually, he's acting just like Alex Jones and Nate and Gary and all these other lunatics on the internet that are attacking Mitch over something he may or may not have done. They're just false accusations. So what if he had a divorce? Almost everybody in this country's had one or two. So what? So what? Did Rebekah Kirk spend the night at the Candlewood Estates? That's all that matters. Doesn't matter if he killed his dog. Oh, wait, that was Kristi Noem who killed her dog. Now she's chasing people out of the country. Okay, so there you go. I think that there's enough there to think about. Anyway, look into the Phantom mini laser weapon by Northrop Grumman. Get it to Darren Coleman. See Baron Coleman. See what he thinks. Because if you ask AI, if you just keep asking AI more questions about what happens when it hits human skin or electronic things and stuff, you will find the most interesting answers ever. And I just have to wonder, is that what they're hiding? Is that why they're so flipped out about it? Are these people still working for the government? Are they just taking checks to do this? Because it makes no sense to try to destroy a man and his current family because you're scared. All right. I have found the clip of all clips, and I'm about to play. I'm just going to tack it to the back end here of this video just because it's such a classic. First, you're going to hear from Ryan Matta, and then he's going to play that Alex Jones clip. It is just so meltdown of this guy. And then you're going to hear from Candace because this was an Instagram post that she made, and it tells you kind of what's going on. But you do just have to ask, why are these people so unhinged about someone and not about the truth about what might have happened to Charlie Kirk and where his wife might have been? And how come nobody asks about geofencing after all? Really, why not get it figured out? If she's innocent, I know I would. I don't carry a phone. That's why, I guess. I know I would. I would just, if I were her, I'd just say, here's where I was. And that's my whole day. And that's my September 8th. And here's some September 9th for you too. So there. Okay, here we go. Buckle up. This is going to get good.
But I want to remind you guys that Candace has only put out one video on Fort Huachuca. So like this whole thing blowing up and becoming this crazy ordeal, like Candace isn't pot committed to the Fort Huachuca scandal, right? She interviewed Mitch. Mitch shared some information that she thought might be important to everybody, and she put it out there on the internet for everybody to decipher. And she's asked a few questions. That's it, okay? So I want to play this clip from Alex because he's like, this is weird, dude. Like the dude is unhinged on a full-blown meltdown over one video. Candace, like Alex has covered Candace now on how many episodes, how many shows, how many days in a row, when Candace just put out one video on Fort Huachuca. And that was just an interview with her and Mitch, okay? So I want to play this clip, and then I want to play the clip of Candace. Check this out.
I could go to a Walmart parking lot tonight and say I saw Santa Claus screwing reindeer. If I don't have video or proof, it didn't happen. And And I'm like, hey, I got metadata. I was at the Walmart parking lot in North Austin today. And you're like, you said you saw Santa Claus screwing reindeer. Or you saw the Easter Bunny playing a organ. It isn't that I can prove I went to Walmart parking lot. Show me the Easter Bunny screwing Santa Claus. Got it? Yeah, don't change the subjects here. You said a bunch of innocent people were at this base, and they've all got proof alibis, and now you want to change the subject. Oh, he was at Fort Huachuca. You suppose. Now he's got 4 names. You want the beef. Remember the old ads in the 80s? I'm dating myself. The Wendy's ads saying, where's the beef with McDonald's? Like, where's the beef? Well, we're going to give you the beef. You get nothing but beef here. You get nothing but meat and potatoes, hardcore reality, not nebulous conspiracy theories.
Alex, bro, like, what the f are you talking about, man? She's put out 1 video. That's it. She hasn't done a stream in 7 days. But she did put out this video over on Instagram, so y'all might want to check this out.
Okay, I just have to jump on here to let you guys know that Andrew Colvett, the spokesperson for Turning Point USA, just got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, trying to help orchestrate behind the scenes an alibi for Rebekah Kirk and Fort Huachuca. Now, why is this crazy? For those of you that don't know the backstory here, essentially, this guy, Mitch, it was very compelling, said that he saw Brian Harpole leaving this meeting at Fort Huachuca on September 9th. Now, I wanted to give him the platform after I verified where he was to tell his story, but he also had to include the part where he claims that he saw Rebekah Kirk the night before, also on Fort Huachuca at Candlewood Inn and Suites, okay? Now, truthfully, I put it at 50-50 because, like I said on my show, I believed that he was at this meeting was significant and that it concluded. I felt really strongly that he saw Brian Harpole, but what's his memory like? Are you good at remembering faces? Did you just see another blonde and think that it was Rebekah Kirk? Genuinely, I thought it was at like 50-50 until tonight, where all of a sudden there were all these attacks regarding Fort Huachuca. We didn't really know where they were coming from. You got people calling me insane. Alex Jones jumps into the fray. I'm like, what is happening right now? Why does Fort Huachuca have so many people triggered? Well, there were these YouTubers, Paramount Tactical is one of them, who was basically teasing, like, we're going to take down Mitch and show you guys that he's not a credible witness by going back and going through the files of his marriages and ex-relationships and to show you that he's an abuser. And this is going to be the end of Candace Owens' career, like totally weird and distracting. Like, I never told my followers that they should go marry Mitch. I have no idea what he was doing 20 years ago in a relationship. There were no convictions against him that I could find, whatever. The point is like, we didn't know where this was coming from. Everyone was like, money must have just gone out. Like, what is happening? Well, tonight was when they did their live to expose me and accidentally exposed Turning Point USA and Rebekah Kirk. Now, I'm going to show you the messages. Andrew Colvett was apparently live texting this guy Erica's alibi. Now, this means Erica is sending her alibi. Why wouldn't you just send it to me? Obviously, I didn't have a horse in the race of whether or not he saw you at the hotel. You could have just been like, here's where I was on September 8th. And this whole idea of you even being there would have gone away. Instead, she sends it to Andrew Colvett to send to these obscure YouTubers who are live, and it didn't click with them that Andrew Colvett did not want them to say that he was their source. So this guy just starts live reading the messages that are coming in from Andrew Colvett, where he proceeds to give an alibi that no one asked for. He's like, this is what Erica was doing on September 9th. Okay, the guy said he saw her on the 8th. It's kind of like the Brian Harpole, where they're just like giving us alibis for times that we're not talking about. Again, I wasn't even necessarily pressuring them for an alibi, but he then proceeds to walk him through what Erica was doing on September 9th, and he's pretending like she doesn't even know what Fort Huachuca was, even though her mother has a contract with the Department of Defense and would have obviously had to have been familiar with Fort Huachuca, which is in her backyard, and in Turning Point USA's backyard as well. Again, I would like to point out that no one said Erica was in some fort, no one said she was in Tucson, and no one said that they saw her on September 9th anywhere. So I don't know what this is. it's just weird. It's a totally strange thing to say. Again, when you have an easy pathway to just reach out to me and say, hey, I saw you mention something on September 8th. Here's where Erica was. Notice that's Erica's hand. So that means Erica, the CEO of Turning Point USA, is directing the spokesperson of Turning Point USA, Andrew Colvett, to send her alibi to Paramount Tactical as he is like going into the history of Mitch and supposed to be exposing Mitch for being a serial abuser, but actually exposes Turning Point USA. Like, you just cannot make this up. This is like a PR nightmare, a crisis. Is this just a crisis? Wait, I'm going to show you another message from Andrew, being super discreet here. Look, I'm just saying the TikTokers are going to have a field day. Okay, Bibi Netanyahu has not gotten these TikTokers out of control. They already are not feeling the vibes about Erica. Now you got this directing behind the scenes attacks on really Candace for whatever reason, but like sending them out to do videos about Mitch. And then you do this like false debunking when it's just like so like telling the truth is free. Like, if you could just be like, here you go, it's going to lead people to ask questions. And it's probably the opposite thing is going to happen, where people are going to wonder if Mitch's memory was correct. And he did see Erica at Fort Huachuca on September 8th in the evening as Charlie Kirk was touching down from Tokyo into Los Angeles. So I'm just saying, this is a PR nightmare. This is just Turning Point. Ugh, man, not good, not good.